friends, it's Amy. Welcome to Doki Doki Forest. I'm so glad you are here. And first off, let me just say, happy leap year and happy birthday to any leap year babies that may be out there. Now with that being said, let's get into a flip through Friday. Now you're thinking, Amy, it's Thursday, February 29th. It's not Friday yet. I know, but guess what? I finished my glue book January, and I did it on the last day of February. I finished it by the last day of February. So I'm going to put my flip through out today to celebrate that I did in fact finish it at all, number one. And number two, I did actually finish it in February, which was sort of my goal. It was okay if I didn't. I didn't finish my other one. My junk journal January is still going, so I'll finish that one in March, hopefully. But I was so excited. I just glued down the last couple pages in here this morning. So I want to go ahead and share this with you. Do a flip through of the whole book. Look how wonky it looks. This is what happens when you start gluing in the front of the book and then you go sequentially through to the end. It gets like really warped out of shape. But that's kind of the way I have to do it because I'm doing these sequentially. Technically, you don't have to, because if you have the prompts, you could do like number one and then do the last one and kind of flip back and forth. Maybe I'll try that next year. Maybe not. Now, first of all, let me just say that Glue Book January is a prompt list put out. It's a scavenger hunt prompt list that is created and put out by Caged Fish. I will have her link down below because you can still go get the prompts and you can just do some for fun. You don't have to do the whole thing. But each day for January, she put out a list of about 5 prompts. These are my sheets. Look how much, look, it's ripped. I wrote on it. I've got highlighting, I've got check marks, I've got dots, we've got paint over here. These things have really gotten a workout. But this is how I would go through. I would look at it and I would try to check off the things I found or highlight things I found, or sometimes I would highlight things I didn't find in another color. Anyway, it's a whole mess, but I had a great time and I am proud to say that I'm finished. So now without further ado, let me present to you the flip through. And then afterwards, I will have the process video so you can see these last few pages that I made. I did film while I was creating in here, but I'll put that at the end so those of you who are interested in the behind the scenes can watch that, and those of you who just want to see the flip through can just see that. Oh, and let me say too, Flip Through Friday is a hashtag you can look up, and it's where a lot of different creators share what they're working on. It could be a journal, it could be even a book flip through, it could be anything that either they're interested in, they're looking at, they're inspired by, they're working on. So it's really cool. And the hashtag was created and is hosted by Kristina at Kristina's Shack. And I will have her info down below. So be sure to check out the hashtag to see what everyone else is up to. And if you have something to share, then feel free to use the hashtag and tag Kristina as well and jump on in the fun. And in here, I'm going to put my intro. I'll put, I have the year here, but I'm just going to go ahead and write my thoughts on doing the glue book. And then over here, I'll probably put some kind of a little pocket so I can tuck these messy sheets in there. And yes, I'm going to tuck these ones. I'm not going to reprint them because I think it's kind of cool to see sheets and see how people worked on them and see the mess, see the process. And so I'm going to fold those up, mess and all. What do I have on here? Wingardium Leviosa. Okay. And I'm going to tuck that in there. And actually, I need this sheet so I can see what prompts were on which day. So here we go. Oh, and this year there were questions as well. So I started off thinking I was going to do both the questions and the prompts, but I kind of wound up just doing the prompts with the thought of maybe I'll do the questions at some point and maybe in another journal, or maybe just sporadically in like a mixed media journal or something. I don't know. So this was, actually I cut off the question, but I think this was if you could speak to somebody who had passed, who was on the other side, who would it be? And I chose my grandmother, so I chose all images that reminded me of my grandmother. So I have a cardinal, I have some beautiful jewelry because she wore jewelry, and some candy because she would always let me pick out some candy when I'd go to her house, and she always had a bowl of peanut M&Ms, so I used to enjoy that. And then here are the prompts. So we had Lincoln, Jesus, grandmother, Princess Diana, and Elvis. So here's everybody. Actually, I didn't find a picture of Jesus, so he is not in there. Oh, but guess what? So this picture of Lincoln, it's just a random, I made it into like a gnome hat. I didn't know what to do with it. But of course, when I'm not looking for it, I found an awesome picture of Lincoln, so I put it aside. Look at that. This is like someone role-playing, cosplaying as President Lincoln. I thought that was so cool. I'm like, oh, I wish I had that at the time. See, I don't like collect pictures of Abraham Lincoln, so it's not something I had or would even look for, but maybe I'll add him in there just for fun. I'll tuck him in. Maybe I'll add him later. By the way, is it just me, or does this look totally like if Benedict Cumberbatch played Abraham Lincoln in a movie? Right? Oh, and also any place where you see space like this, it's so I could write a story, because oftentimes, not every time, but sometimes as I'm creating a page, a story will just sort of organically evolve. So it's not something I set out to do. It just kind of happens when I start putting images together, and the way they interact just sometimes comes out audibly, where I feel like I can hear a conversation or there's some kind of a story. So I left room for the stories, which hopefully I'll go back in and fill in. We'll see. Okay, day 2, we have Queen, Picasso, Einstein, Oprah, and Marilyn Monroe. Very eclectic mix of characters here. Not characters like real people, but you know what I'm saying. This question I answered. It was, if you could be any mythical creature, what would you be? So I made a dragon, because I would be a dragon. But instead of gluing in a picture of a dragon, I took like this picture of a crocodile, or is it an alligator? I'm not sure. Maybe an alligator. I think they have the more rounded snout, I think. And then I took like this butterfly moth and attached that so we could have wings. And I attached a snake tail so there could be a long dragon tail. And then I attached these, like, I don't know if it was antelope or gazelle. I think gazelle horns on there. And my thought was I could just add some more stuff too if I found it to kind of make a dragon. And then I'm going to do some writing here. And then for day 3, there were also prompts, which were mermaid, unicorn, sphinx, dragon, and leprechaun. Day 4 is just this page here. It's barbells or weights, jet, clock, top hat, and sunglasses. So let me start at the top. And I did cut off that top hat when I was trimming, because of course I put him up too high on the page. But you know, at least I didn't toss it in the recycle bin. I realized what I had done, rescued it, and taped that back on. And then on this page, the question that went with day 4 was, if you could have any superpower, what would you want your ability to be? And so for me, that would be flight. So I have this butterfly and a seagull just flying freely over this beach full of seals? I was trying to see if they were like walruses. I think they're seals. Doesn't really matter. The point being, flight. That's definitely what I would want. 2 different days here. We have the first day here, which the prompts were guitar. So she's actually playing an air guitar. Guitar, Noah's Ark, Titanic or large ship, goblet, and light bulb. So Titanic and the Ark on one page. That was a challenge. This page is just completely random. And that's just as much fun to do as having a page where you feel like there's more of a story. Like, it's fun to have both. This is a good example of both. This one's just totally random, just gluing it in there. And then this one, I was creating a story in my head, which I didn't know ahead of time. It was just as I was gluing. So this is day 6. This is Peter Pan, Rapunzel, Mad Hatter, Tinkerbell, and the Wicked Witch of the West. And I know it's not technically the Wicked Witch of the West. It's just a witch, but I think she's close enough. And I left space for the story to go with this one. Maybe I'll think of something for this one. Nothing yet, though. And no pressure. It's okay. I don't have to have anything. Only if it comes to me. Day 7, we have dolphin, hippo, owl, kangaroo, and butterfly. Day 8, we have waterfall, 4-leaf clover, cloud, ocean wave, and nut. So this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 images. And I know I said this when I first showed this page, but there's just something about this guy. I feel like I know him. He's like he's like some kind of character that feels familiar. And this is actually 2 pages. They just kind of sort of flow into each other, but that's not intentional. So on this page we have a snowflake, lightning bolt, tornado, rainbow, and sun. It can be quite a challenge to try to fit some of these big things together. And actually on this page, the images were mostly small. I had this large rainbow image I put down first. Rainbow gets a little lost though, and I was kind of wondering why I didn't pay attention here. I glued the image right over the rainbow. So in hindsight, I think I would have trimmed this or something and moved it up a little so I didn't block that. But, you know, sometimes these are things you notice after. And let's see, let me move my page here. So day 10, we have island, castle, cruise ship, fancy car, and tiara. So this one was like kind of all over the place for me. And that was the case with a lot of these prompts, you know, but that's the fun of it, is that you really use images you may not have picked otherwise. Like some of these images I definitely would have picked, like a castle. But like a cruise ship? No, I never collect those. So it's kind of fun to have you select things you wouldn't and think outside your own creative box. Day 11 was sword, garden, pirate ship, teapot, and spider web. And I wound up using a little sticker for the teapot there. And this is 2 pages as well. So for day 12, we have breakfast, hot air balloon, lit candle, violin, and sunset. And for day 13, we have lion, clown, horse, tent, and someone with a beard. And if you're interested, I do have the creation of all these pages, so I can put that playlist down below if you are interested in checking out any of the process videos, and I kind of tell you some of the stories I might be thinking of or not. Day 14, we have wand, red shoes, bean, ring, and lamp. And bean, of course, I decided to use Mr. Bean instead of a actual like lima bean or something like that. Day 15 is a 2-page spread. Let me hold it up for you. So we have spaceship, cowboy hat, soap, doctor, and wolf. Day 16, oh, I left a lot of space for that story. Okay. Day 16, we have gorilla, telephone, Yoda, skull, and poppies. Day 17, another 2-page spread. We have red car, bat, beetle, horse, and steering wheel. Sorry about the shine there. Try to hold it so that way it doesn't glare too much. Another 2-page spread for this one. We have hedgehog, penguin, tiger, koala, and seahorse. I'll bring it up so you can try to see a little closer on these pages. Some of the images are big, but some of them are smaller. Day 19, we have wizard, tooth, chocolate bar, Barbie, and shadow. So you can see Snape is there in the shadow. It's very interesting having Barbie and Dumbledore and Snape all hanging out, or at least on the same page. Day 20, we have green thumb, microphone, ballet slippers, pencil, and tennis shoes. Day 21, we have, what does that say? I made a mess there. Oh, mouse, lollipop, cute monster, golf cart, and shovel. Okay, so here are the new pages that I've done that I will show the process video at the end. So here we have day 22, this was the next day. So day 22, we have toilet paper, boat, flame, cooking pot, and phone. And then day 23, we have apple, moon, jeep, church, and palm tree. Like I said, it's a very interesting combo of prompts, but that's kind of what we love. Day 24, we have princess, rocket, cake, high heels, and Santa. Day 25, we have painting, book, curtains, portrait, and monarch. Day 26, a 2-page spread. We have castle, Japan, white rabbit, cookie, and skyscraper. Day 27, These are 2 different days here. So day 27, we have pyramids, Statue of Liberty, dinosaur, hourglass, and Zeus. Can just barely see the pyramid in the background there. And day 28, we have submarine, treehouse, windmill, spaceship, and yacht. Again, a lot of vehicle sort of things to try to fit all on one page. And I took some liberties with yacht. It's just really a boat, but I'm pretending that's a yacht. Day 29, we have mask, stained glass window, drink with ice, geisha, and tower. Day 30, we have teddy bear, chimney, donkey, spider, and knight. And again, I'm taking some liberties with these chimneys because I think they're technically stovepipes, but let's just call them chimneys for all intents and purposes. And the last page, instead of doing the prompts, I did the question, which was, if you could have any cartoon character as your best friend in real life, who would it be? So there are a bunch of answers I had, but I went with the first thing that popped into my head, which was a Totoro. So a Totoro is 100% who I would love to come and visit me and be my friend. We could fly around and go for walks through nature. So yes, Totoro all the way. And that does it. But stick around for the process video. But if you're checking out now, thank you so much for popping by. I appreciate it, and I hope you have an awesome week. And for those of you who are staying, let's get into the behind the scenes. Okay, here we go, deep into the dark underbelly of glue booking. Just kidding. We're just going to do some prompts. Thanks so much for hanging out. These are the prompts for day 22, so I'm just showing you the different choices I have for toilet paper, boat, flame, cooking pot, and phone. So I think it's kind of interesting to show you all the choices, so that way you can kind of see what I didn't use, and sort of you might see me moving things around on the page and trying things out and what works and what didn't. And then you might be thinking, why didn't you use that? That was so good. I just had that little itty bitty phone. I know I had a pink phone somewhere, but I could not find it. And this lady with the cooking pot was the only picture I could find of a cooking pot. Maybe there was an ad for cooking pots that I missed in the magazines, but I really like this lady anyway, and I love that she's actively cooking. It's not just like a pan, you know, she's actually cooking, and yeah, so I don't know, just trying to figure this out. I mean, toilet paper? You know what I really wanted to find was a picture of a Charmin bear. Charmin or Charmin. I've heard people pronounce that both ways, but you know, those little bears that are like dancing and then they have to go to the bathroom. That's actually what I was really hoping to find. But instead, I just printed out a couple pictures from Pinterest of toilet paper hangers. So at least it was something kind of cute. And right now you might be thinking, Amy, if you printed out a picture from Pinterest of a toilet paper holder, why didn't you just look up a picture of a Charmin bear? And I'd say, oh, good point. I should have done that. So, we're going to figure this out, and I have a little bit of a kind of story, not really a story, but I'm imagining that this lady has a child who's been overseas, they've been traveling, and she gets a phone call, and they announce that they are returning. And they've brought all kinds of gifts for her from their travels, maybe some exotic foods from foreign lands. And so she's excited because she's thinking, oh, that's fantastic. I have some new things I can cook with and my favorite foods from around the world. And then she decides she's going to get the feast ready. The table's set, the candles are lit. She's going to make some really awesome, delicious home-cooked food because she knows that that's probably what her child has been missing while they're away. And I guess the toilet paper is there for, in case the food's really spicy or something. Best to be prepared. So she's going to go right at the bottom there. And I really do love the way the candles take up that whole background. And then I just have a little bit of space in that top right. It was just perfect for that boat picture. And then the toilet paper, I just like the way the toilet paper actually blends in with that candle holder. And at least the toilet paper holder is like the same kind of colors and tones as the background. So I feel like it sort of blends in there a little bit. It's not, maybe it doesn't. Maybe everyone's going to look at it and be like, toilet paper. Interesting. When they look at this page. But hey, I got everything on there. That's what counts. So day 23, the prompts were apple, moon, Jeep. Whoops, not yet. Jeep. There we go. Church. And finally, we had palm tree. So I have one lady dreaming about palm trees and then those big, beautiful palm trees. And I just figured, I have to put these down as a background. It's so pretty, and I love the way there's like this path of palm trees. There's a path going down the middle, and then there's palm trees on either side. So I thought, well, that looks so pretty. Maybe I could have some sort of a travel theme on this page as well. It's this Jeep, and it's getting ready. It's getting all packed up to go out on an adventure, or perhaps they're returning from an adventure. And I'm just trying to figure out which Jeep, and I thought it would be funny to have like the apple on top, like, when people have the different kinds of cargo or things strapped on the top of the car, or like the Christmas tree goes on the top of the car. And I thought, like, they got this huge apple and it does not fit in the Jeep, so they're just gonna pop that right on top. And then I decided to get another picture of a moon because I didn't like my choices. I mean, I liked the choices, but just not for this page. I just really wanted a moon. Well, the only pictures I could find in this astrology magazine, or astronomy, not astrology, were a little teeny moon and then this sort of like close-up of part of the moon. So the little one I felt like gets a little bit lost no matter where I put it. I'm like, it kind of blends in with those palm trees. Let me think about it. And in the meantime, I decided, let me take out this stained glass, because I don't think I can put the whole church on this page, but maybe the palm trees have stained glass on them, or maybe the moon has stained glass. And then I decided, why is this moon such a weird shape? Let's cut it so it actually looks like the moon. I think it actually looks like the Death Star. So then I'm like, well, here we go. We have our travelers. Let me get some more stained glass. And then I thought maybe it would look cool if like the church is actually like the palm trees, like it's in nature. And, through these windows, you see beautiful sights in nature, like the moon. But it just looked kind of strange. It's like I liked the idea, but given the images that I had, I just didn't think it worked. And I was trying. I was really trying. I kept trimming these things, and they don't really look like much, but that would probably look good with a different background. Now I'm trying to remember. I don't even think I kept them, but that could have worked with like a space background or something. That could have looked really cool. Oh, well. So I'm still trying to make these moons work, but I'm like, nah, I don't really like that. I know I like the palm trees, I know I like the Jeep, and I like the apple. So maybe we can put the stained glass in the windows. Now, is that like getting tinted windows, but they have stained glass? Or is that like they were packing for their trip or coming home from their trip? Either way, they literally either packed everything or they bought everything while they were out. And someone's like, really? You even got the stained glass? You got this huge apple? The whole Jeep is loaded and you got stained glass too? And I thought this little Hello Kitty Jeep was cute. I didn't want to have just like a regular Jeep. So I found a picture. I found that one on Pinterest too. So I like to try to find the images in my magazines. But if I'm really, really struggling, then I will go to Pinterest and print something out. So I think that the Jeep is the only thing on that page that I printed out, and then the toilet paper holder on the left there is the only thing I printed out for that. For the most part, I really did try to find things. So day 24, we have Princess. I have a couple of choices. We have Rocket. Couple different styles there as well. Then we have Cake. And I do have a few different cakes, all very different. Oh, I love those little like tea cakes. Those are so cute. And that one looks really good. That reminds me of like a chantilly cake. And then we have high heels. So I have one high heel there. And then I have this lady. I love her heels. And those are awesome as well. And then randomly, Santa. So I have Santa from the Rudolph special, and then like a classic Santa, who I found at the last minute. Because I thought for sure I was going to use the Rudolph Santa, but I don't actually use that. So I'm fussy cutting things out. I don't do that beforehand a lot of the time, just in case I need the backgrounds or I want the backgrounds. But in this case, I'm pretty sure I want to cut out all of these characters. But that's why I don't fussy cut everything and get it all ready beforehand. Sometimes I do, like if I'm working on certain glue book things, I will fussy cut. But in this instance, I wasn't sure because I didn't want to fussy cut everything and then just have like a bunch of lined paper. I wanted to try to plan it so that I could cover up as much of the page as possible. But I figure I have a lot of cakes and they're pretty good size, so I think I'll be able to cover everything up. And this big old cheesecake, I was like, what can I do with this? It almost looks like a tree if I put it that way. And then I was like, it almost looks like it could be the bottom of the dress. You know, you could put it on in a certain way and it would look like the dress. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, what's going to go in the background and then what will be in the foreground. And I do like how that looks. And it's okay to double up on cake, you know? I'm trying to figure out which rocket. I was pretty sure I was going to use that black and white one. It just fit perfectly in that top left corner. And then Santa, I'm just kind of sticking there on the bottom right. And the story that I'm thinking of for this one is that there's this princess, and she's like a princess of cakes, or maybe it's like a dessert land or something like that. And she needs somebody to come and help her. So she's reaching out and asking this other lady, like, please, you've got to help me. And this lady who has these really fancy shoes is like, are you kidding me? You're expecting me to walk through this land of cakes with these shoes on? That is not gonna happen. You have a better chance of seeing Santa fly by in a rocket ship than me walking across all these crumbs and all this cake to get to you. So that's what I am thinking as I'm gluing this. You know, they're just like these little snippets, but it's just kind of silly stuff. And I use my ruler just to tuck things in or smooth out the images, and you know, you can certainly do that as well. Just don't press down too hard, because I've had one time I pressed down too hard and I actually left like a mark on the image, like a little scrape kind of mark. So just be very gentle when you are using anything to smooth down your images. And that princess is from an anime called Revolutionary Girl Utena. I haven't seen it since the 90s, but I did enjoy it at the time. So there's Santa. We did actually change the rocket. I thought I was going to use that black and white one, but the red one just fits perfectly up there, and it's just very silly with Santa. And then I'm just using the bottom of the cheesecake picture to just cover up behind Santa's head. Give him a little bit of background up there, because that way I feel like you can see him a little bit better. And whenever I trim my images, I always hang on to the little scraps and bits. There's a little blueberry that I had trimmed off the bottom of the cake, so I thought, I can have Santa holding that blueberry. And I always keep the trimmings because there are oftentimes these little places where I can glue them down to fill out the page. There might just be one little spot here that the image just doesn't cover, and I can go ahead and glue one of the scraps in there, and then presto, it's all done. Like, see, there's a little spot right there, and I can take something. I'm trying out a little piece of the hair that I had cut off of the princess, and I didn't like that, so I'm just sticking in this random piece. And it is from one of the images, but it just, for me, it just kind of completes the page, so I like that. And then once I'm done with the page, I'll go ahead and recycle if there's little teeny scraps, but I do hang on to them until the end. All right, so next up we have painting. We have, Bob Ross. Gotta have Bob Ross, right? Then we have book. So I have a few choices for different stacks of books. And then we have curtain, and I have like this little billowing curtain. Then we have portrait. So here's a nice caricature. And then we have monarch. And something interesting, I was looking at these different monarchs, and I liked all of these images. And then I wound up going with this one here because I loved that it had the lady plus the curtains. I thought, that's a 2-for-1. And I built this whole page with this lady without really realizing that I don't think she's a monarch. I think she's just a fancy lady. So I'm going to pretend that she's a monarch. We have to pretend, right? So she is this monarch, and she really wants to get her portrait painted. So she reaches out. Everyone says, Bob Ross, that's who you have to get. He's the best painter in the land. So I guess they don't realize that, he really seems to paint like landscapes a lot of the time. So she hires him, and she poses, and he's painting and painting, and finally it's time for the big reveal. And to the horror of everyone in the castle, it's revealed that Bob Ross has painted a hideous picture of the Queen. Now, Of course, we know it's George Lucas. But in this instance, everyone's like, oh, they can't believe it. Jack, that doesn't look like her at all. That's terrible. And Bob Ross just shrugs and he's like, hey, I'm a landscape painter. What do you expect? So that is the silly story happening on this page. Of course, you may make up whatever stories you like for any of these pages. There's no right and no wrong. And just gluing in that's a nice portrait. Probably not by Bob Ross. And then there's a painting by Bob Ross. Next up, we have Castle and Japan. I combined into one image. Then White Rabbit, Cookie, and Skyscraper. So this... Oh, I forgot I had 2 images for Skyscraper. But this one came together really quick because there weren't that many images to choose from. And they were this similar kind of color scheme, and they were large, so I decided rather than trimming too much, I would just use 2 pages. The cookies are just, I don't know, they're just tucked back there, but I really like how they look. Again, I feel like I was very excited that everything just kind of went together, like really easily on this page. There's some pages that are like that. Some pages are easy. Some are a little trickier. And I gotta tell you, there's a really wonky one coming up next. But this one, at least, was very cooperative. This one was nice and easy, and I just love when that happens. But then again, I like a challenge too. I don't mind it. But it's kind of nice to have maybe something complicated and something easy. Something complicated, something easy. You know, because if it's just complicated every time, then you might get frustrated. But maybe not. Maybe it's just more like problem solving and it's fun. Almost forgot to put the White Rabbit on there. But there it is. It's already done. All right, now here we go. We had Pyramid. We had Statue of Liberty. Dinosaur. Couple of choices for that. And then we had Hourglass, which is kind of cool because you can turn it either way. And then finally, we had Zeus. And this is Zeus as illustrated in the Lore Olympus books and webtoon, which I love. So as soon as I read Zeus, I was like, oh, I've got to get a picture of the Lore Olympus Zeus. So the pyramid is going to be the background because that is a large image, takes up the page, and then I'm trimming out the Statue of Liberty. This is an illustration or painting from the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. And I'm just trying to figure out, how am I going to get this to work? I felt like I kept kind of putting everything in one section, but if I spread them out, I was having a hard time seeing all the images. And then I was like, well, I keep covering up the pyramid. So I didn't want to cover it up so much that you couldn't see it. Because I felt like, well, that's kind of silly. You have to be able to see it. But I really like the dinosaur holding the hourglass. He's got his little claws there. So I thought, oh, I know, I'll get my X-Acto knife and I'll cut the pyramid. I gotta tell you guys, this page was a disaster. It worked out okay in the end, but oh man. So I thought, all right, I'm gonna tuck the dinosaur and he'll look like he's coming around from behind the pyramid. If I do that, then I won't cover up the pyramid, but I can have everything kind of poking out from it. Right? I don't know. So I could have also just glued them though. I didn't actually really need to cut the pyramid, but I had this vision of like how cool it will look to have things popping out. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, this is a 2-page spread. Let's just glue this in because we know we like this. And I have to tell you, this was very challenging to glue in because I had cut it. So it wound up getting all crinkly. It started off okay when it was on the left. As soon as I got to the right though, especially on the bottom, it got like all crinkly and like folded. And I just couldn't really figure out how to get it to look nice. So I just crunched it down. I was like, oh, that's okay. I'll just use my little scraper here and I'll just squish it down, even though it doesn't look good. It's fine. So there's my wonky pyramid. And then I'm like, how do I place the Statue of Liberty? Well, her torch is going to get cut off, but it's already a little cut off anyway, so that's okay. And then I'm like, all right, I like this dinosaur. It's probably the only thing that I'm feeling pretty good about at this point. And he's got to have his little hourglass. So I'm pretending there's some kind of like a disaster. There's all these disasters happening. It's like dinosaurs are appearing. The Statue of Liberty is sinking into the sand. And there's all these things happening. And meanwhile, Zeus, who's like this powerful, I know he's god of the sky, but he's very powerful. And instead of helping, he's just up there like, oh man, my hair looks so bad today. Like he's just totally looking at his hair, doesn't care that the whole world is just going absolutely bonkers. So that's what I'm thinking there. And then look, I thought I'd tuck him behind the Statue of Liberty. I ripped the Statue of Liberty. I thought, that's okay. So look, now I'm going to go try it over here with the dinosaur. Like, what am I doing? I don't want to rip the dinosaur. Luckily, the dinosaur did not rip. So I am happy with this. I'm like, okay, I like Zeus with the dinosaur. The Statue of Liberty looks terrible over there. It's like peeling off. It's ripped. Let's just get rid of that. Right? No. I'm going to still try to figure out if I can use it. But I know this page isn't working. So I get out my X-Acto knife. I cut it off. And then I realize I pressed a bit too hard with the X-Acto knife. And I rip out the whole page, and then I also had cut the page under it as well, which I discover later as I'm creating. But look, I'm still trying to make that Statue of Liberty work. Mostly because I didn't think I had another picture of the Statue of Liberty. So I moved on to the next day. Day 28, we had submarine, treehouse, windmill, spaceship, and yacht. Oh, sorry, another spaceship. They're actually both the Starship Enterprise. And there's my yacht, which I'm taking liberties with, but that's okay. And I love this windmill picture. It's so pretty. I don't want to have to cover up the whole thing, but I have like all these other images. I'm like, how am I going to fit this and not cover up the windmill? So my treehouse is like a very small picture, but I like it because all the other pictures are pretty large. And I like this little boat being a yacht. And it's weird too because we just had spaceship a few days ago. We had the same prompt because I remember taking out the Enterprise and I was like, oh, I'm going to use this. And then I wound up not using it, which is good because I used it on this page, but it's just kind of strange to have the same prompt. So this page is like another travel page. So there's this person walking on the path toward the windmill. And because there's so many vehicles, I was thinking, well, maybe this person has just arrived in this new land and they're looking for the best way to get around. And so there's all these options. There's like the Octonauts there in their gup. That's my submarine. So, you know, you can take a flying submarine through the sky. You can take a spaceship. And then you've got like Captain Ron down there with his boat. You can charter a boat. there's all these options, and then there's the treehouse. So maybe if all these options just exhaust you, just go to the treehouse and take a nap and figure it out the next day. Kind of like what I had to do with my Statue of Liberty page. So this page came together pretty quickly as opposed to the one before. I really like how the USS Enterprise looks flying. I like the contrast of the realistic spaceship and boat or yacht down there against that anime background and then the Octonauts. So that page I'm happy with. But look, I found another Statue of Liberty, so you know where that's going to go. I fussy cut her out, and the dinosaur's not glued all the way down because I knew I was going to have to do something over there. And she gets glued in, and the torch is off the page, so I'm going to have to put something behind that to strengthen it. But I actually like that page now. Can you believe what a struggle that was? All right, so next up we have day 29 was mask, and I have quite a few masks to choose from. We have stained glass window, so I have Totoro and then this bird. We have drink with ice, and I had quite a few of those as well. So I really like all these like rainbow colored drinks. And then geisha, I have a ton of pictures of. I've just collected them over the years, so I had all kinds of different things to choose from illustrations to realistic pictures. And the other good thing was I had a lot of different size images of geisha, because it's always good to have options because you never know which image you want to use that's large and which is small. Oh, and the last prompt was tower, so I have like Stark Tower or the Avengers Tower, as well as just a regular stone tower. Now, of course, I really want to use the Marvel Tower, one of these, and I thought, this geisha might look really pretty in front of one of the towers, but then I'm like, I gotta figure out the mask too. Or maybe I'll use the small picture, or maybe she's taking a selfie in front of the tower, but I really liked that particular geisha image there, and I decided that she would probably look best against my other tower picture. The Avengers Tower just was not working for me. And when I put these two images together, I really liked it. So I know that's what I want to do. She's holding a teacup, doing like a traditional tea ceremony, but I decided to give her a large drink instead. So I don't know if she's actually holding a teacup and wishing she had a drink, or she's literally holding the drink. That is up to the viewer's interpretation. So I've got three things that I know I like. I know I like the tower, I know I like her, and I know I like the drink. So I just have to figure out how I am going to get a mask on there. And I completely forgot about the stained glass window for a while. I'm so busy thinking about the mask, I was like, oh yeah, I have to do stained glass too. But it's actually perfect because that little bird in the stained glass will fit behind her just perfect. So I can see the bird, and then it takes up that little space there. And there's some extra too, so I can trim off the part that would be behind her, and I can use that stained glass somewhere else on the page to help fill it out. But the mask, what am I going to do about the mask? And I have this large mask. I think it's super cool from Jean Bainey. I trimmed it down. I thought maybe I can put that behind her, but of course then that covers up the tower, so I didn't want to do that. So I'm thinking maybe at the bottom, maybe she feels like she's wearing this mask that she doesn't want to wear. She wants to be somewhere else or do something else. She feels like she's trapped in a tower. So now we're on the gluing part. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to do. So So I glue that little bird down, and like I said, I will trim off the extra on the right because you won't see it anyway once I place the geisha image down. And then I have more stained glass that I can play with, like right there, and pop up there. And actually, that wasn't even stained glass. There was like some towels or something in the picture, but it's still the same color, and I like that just to fill it in up there. So that works for me, whether it's stained glass or towels or a sink or whatever the picture was of. I don't remember what the whole thing was now, but it works for filling out the page. So definitely, as I say, hold on to those scraps. And I had just enough to cover that up. Give her her drink. And then just figure out that last image. And I just trimmed it a little bit more, and now it's perfectly sized. I'm happy with that. Day 30 was teddy bear. I love that teddy bear. Chimney. Donkey. The spider. The spider's cute though. I was going to warn you, but the spider came up quick. Sorry about that. And night. I love this picture of the spider. I don't know what magazine I got it out of. It was probably like a Audubon or something like that. But it's so, I can't believe I'm going to say cute, but I feel like this spider is so cute. I like the little, it looks like a dewdrop on its head with a flower. Just very cool. And then I know that that's a stovepipe coming out of the house, but I'm just going to call it a chimney. And donkey, this is my only picture of a donkey. It's an illustrated picture from a book. And a teddy bear. I love this teddy bear. I love how he's like a big teddy bear. He's not a little one. I know I had a little one the other day when I was working in my color glue book, but I couldn't find it. And I switched the spider out, and I also found another picture with a larger stovepipe, but let's call it a chimney. So I'm going to use this picture. I like that it takes up the background, and I'm switching out the spider because the spider was so big. And then when I went to put the images on top, it covered up like too much of the spider. So I didn't want to cover that image up. So I figured, let me get a smaller spider. And so this knight is looking for, he's been traveling. He comes across this little inn. He stops in, and of course the owner of the inn is this teddy bear who welcomes the knight and his noble steed, the donkey, in for a little rest and relaxation. And they have accommodations of all sizes. They have regular size. They also have a little mini inn up there that's run by the spider. So you can either check in at the inn with the teddy bear or with the spider. Now when I placed everything, I knew exactly where it was going before I glued it. And then when I went to glue it, I sort of forgot how I had it. So I'm trying to figure out, I put this image on and then I realized that that chimney is off the page. So I got to peel the whole thing off and try to readjust it. And, it kind of curls a bit once it has the glue on. So a little challenging, but if you catch it early enough, it can be possible. So yeah, I kind of forgot where exactly I had everything. I knew the knight was over here, and I knew I kind of liked his elbow being on the donkey, like he's kind of resting on the donkey, and the knight's taking himself very seriously, not realizing he's riding a donkey. And then the little bear, I wound up tucking behind, but I covered up a little bit too much of the little inn in the back because now you can see the roof, but you don't see the door. So I was kind of bummed about that. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. And there's the little spider to check you in. And the last page, of course, is the Totoro from the movie My Neighbor Totoro by Hayao Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli. And I love this character, and I love that movie. If you haven't seen it, you must watch it. It is beautiful. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for the long haul. Oh my gosh. Wow, you are a trooper. I hope you have an awesome week, and I will see you again soon.